Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and the Hulk update has probably brought a lot of players back who were taking a break from Marvel Future Fight for one reason or another, because of course the Hulk is such a beloved character, and you know, it's actually been a lot of good reworks to bad characters recently in Marvel Future Fight. If the Beta Ray Bill thing didn't catch your eye, probably Tier 3 Silver Surfer, or now Tier 3 Hulk and his rework probably did catch your eye. So I wanted to, and I probably should have made this video earlier, but I wanted to basically cover a lot of things recently that newer players or players who are returning from a long hiatus wouldn't know have changed in the game, and how you can sort of catch up and make sure that you're on top of everything. Boom! Now, I did that not only to intro the video because Hulk's so savage, but Hulk's actually banned this week in PvP, and that's a really bad idea. So please, Netmarble Monster, I mean, rework. That was Rafael Mendoza that I fought, by the way. Mendoza! But rework Timeline Battle. But also, when you rework Timeline Battle, never ban a character, never restrict a character from any of the leagues right after you give them a Tier 3 in their update. It's just bad marketing, and it just causes you guys to lose money, because people will hold off on Tier 3ing him because they can't try him in PvP. So, or they'd be frustrated with their investment because then they can't use it. So anywho, for all of you players who have recently returned to Marvel Future Fight after a hiatus, or are picking up the game for the first time after years gone, and so you're basically a brand new player, I want to tell you guys in rapid succession the biggest changes to the game that are going to put you ahead the most, because you know there are lots of changes. I can't literally categorize and catalog every single change that we've had in the past year or two. There's been a lot. Galactus GBR is really cool, by the way. I made videos on it recently. You should check them out. But I want to try and cover the most important ones and the biggest ones. Also, I mentioned the dev note on Twitter. I didn't mention it in the YouTube video, but where is the dev note? I'm itching. I'm dying. I'm you know, I need it. I know Kim said apparently the second week of July. Well, we are almost in the second week of July. So hopefully in 1 to 2 days, you will see the dev note. The dev note should be mostly about the future of the game. That's my understanding of what a dev note should be. There may be some apologies in there, or some explanations, or some things that they're thinking about changing, and maybe some changes to game modes, or some changes to reward structures. We don't know exactly what it is, but it should give us a glimpse into the future of the game. This is what we need more of. For those of you that are new, by the way, or for those of you that have returned, we got our first dev note back in June. Yeah, that's right. Marvel Future Fight gets dev notes now. That's a pretty cool change. And that's a very nice piece of communication that we weren't used to getting before. So give me the dev note. Bring me pictures of the dev note. If I was J. Jonah Jameson. So the first thing that you need to know, obviously this information is not as important for existing players, but you're going to hang around anyways because you want to hear me talk and yada, yada, yada. Dimension missions. Huge part of your daily farming. You don't actually have to farm these missions if you don't want to. You can just clear ticket them, but it's not just a game mode where you just go in and play it. There is a synergistic property with your agent level. So you got to bump your agent level up as fast as you can. To bump up your agent level, you have to play World Event. World Event, don't worry about not having characters for it because you don't use your character. You use the #1 ranked player's character. And you just have to play well. So it's a skill-based game mode. Get a high score. As long as you get at least 1,000,000 points, you'll get the maximum amount of agent kits, and then you use those agent kits to bump up your agent level. When you also bump up your agent level by building up characters, and then once your agent level goes up, you can invest points in here. And oh, nice. I recommend going with item acquisition first, and then going with gold acquisition. If you are desperate to rank up lots of characters and you have time to actually autoplay the game modes instead of clear ticketing them, then you could invest into character XP. You can always reset this for 500,000 gold, but yeah, you have to work on your agent level in order to get more out of these daily rewards from here. Because as you can see, the gold goes down, and actually the comic card chests, I don't think they go down in value. I think it's just the gold. Okay, it's just the gold, but still, the gold is really important. So yeah, get your agent level up to 110 as fast as you can, and then you can either play stage 11 or difficulty 10, sorry, or difficulty 15 for the most amount of rewards. And then, you know, you got your support shop here, really important stuff. Obviously, the uniform upgrade kits are an insta purchase, and then if you need comic cards or obelisks, that's an insta purchase there, or Uru or ISO 8. And then if you need bios for all of these characters, don't bother, you know, paying or using bio selectors on them. Just get them here and you'll save yourself a lot of resources, and they're free, which is awesome. The next thing is that the legendary battle requirements have been reduced. This is a biggie. I covered this when it first happened, but it begs repeating. So what I mean by the legendary battle requirements, if you guys remember on the Infinity or the Endgame, the Avengers Endgame live stream when I was in LA, I went ahead and I looked, and they told me not to look, but I went ahead and looked to see what the requirements were, and I saw it was stage 6. Own type enhancement stage 6 for Thanos, and I was like, oh no. Well, they changed that. They cut it in half. Whoosh, whooshing. So now it's only rank 3. So it's much easier. They've lowered all of these uniforms. You know, they used to be whatever, heroic, mythic, or legendary. They lowered it to heroic. They lowered pretty much all of the requirements as far as character builds go for all of the legendary battles. So even the earliest one, Ragnarok, which is free, rather than needing to get Thor's uniform to mythic, you now only need to get it to heroic to get this uniform. Same thing goes for the Hulk one for the CTP of refinement, the Loki one for the Loki card, and then Hela's uniform for the CTP of energy. So these are still amazing ways to get CTPs and premium comic cards, but now the requirements are much cheaper. So you should definitely hit those up. You should also save up crystals if you already have deluxe packs. Save up crystals for the Ant-Man legendary battle to get that CTP selector for the heroic giant Pimtron Ultron thing, and then Endgame for the Rage, as I showed you. Captain Marvel for the regen from where is it? Captain Marvel regen for type 3, not type 6 or stage 6, and then Spider-Man stage 3 for the CTP selector again, which is really nice. And also, just as an aside, I recently, as in last night on the live stream, I purchased the Black Widow Deluxe pack. And I did that because I needed to move around a couple of CTPs, and I just didn't have enough crystals. So actually, rather than moving around the CTPs, I actually purchased this. I bought some crystals. I spent $40 on crystals so that I could afford this legendary battle. And then I went ahead and I played it through so I could get all of the rewards, including the CTP of Insight for having the legendary Taskmaster uniform. So I'm almost actually complete that. I just don't have the potential awakening for Red Guardian to get that level 6 ticket. I might get that one of these days. Who knows? But yeah, it's there. So I just wanted to let you guys know I did up my VIP a little bit. It did move. It did inch forward because I did spend now. This update this is the most I've spent in months. I spent $45 whole. I would love to spend hundreds of dollars, but Marvel Future Fight is just not there yet. And that's another thing you guys need to know. If you are a new or returning player, Marvel Future Fight is having a lot of growing pains. The game was on a pretty large downslide or sort of like downtrend for the past few months, but very recently, in the past, I'd say month or so, they've really they seem to be making an effort. I don't want to overstate their effort, but they seem to be making an effort to improve things, to improve communication, to improve the game. This was actually a very good update for that. You had reworks to a lot of existing characters. I mean, all of the uniforms were massive reworks for Hulk, Cho, and She-Hulk. So there was no, there's no useless or redundant uniforms for characters that were already strong. They gave away Red She-Hulk, and they're still giving away Red She-Hulk for free as a 1-star character unlock. So that is semi-free-to-play friendly. And then they made large quality of life changes to different game modes and to different pieces of content. And then they reworked some of the content in a minor to major way. And they will hopefully continue to do that. So yeah, if we continue to get updates like this, where they, instead of reworking story mode, they rework timeline, they rework conquest, and they buff old characters, they buff weak characters rather than buffing strong characters like another Captain America uniform, another Jean Grey uniform. I think this game will rise again like a phoenix, and I will continue, and I will, I guess, return to spending a lot of money on this game. But yeah, right now I would recommend being very careful with your spending because the game is not in the best place right now. The other thing I want to mention is the world boss resistance. So this was a new thing that was added. You may not know about it if you haven't been paying attention to the changes in the game in the last few months, but this is like 2 or 3 months old now. Essentially, on top of having, it's kind of confusing. On top of having Valor, you can see there my Valor is 3,900 and the recommended Valor is 3,000. Valor will influence how much damage you take and how much damage you deal. So if your Valor is higher, then you will deal more damage to the boss, and the boss will deal less damage to you. If your Valor is too low, we go up here, then now the boss will deal more damage to me, and the boss will take less damage from me. So it's like a increase, decrease damage received and taken, or dealt and taken sort of system. The resist system is different. The resist system will affect how long effects from the strikers last on the boss. Now, I don't know if this also affects your abilities. I think it has some effect on your all defense down and your time freeze and your mind control, but it's much less obvious and it's much less drastic. But for the strikers, if you bring in strikers that have all defense down, if you bring in strikers that have mind control, the higher the resist penalty is, so the higher that number is different from yours. I'm at 416, it needs 455. The higher you go, the less time you will have before the strikers stop working, essentially. So at this level, after about 30 seconds, my strikers will no longer provide all defense down, and they will no longer provide mind control. Even though that is the listed ability of the skill, it just won't work because the boss's resistance is too high. That's essentially how it works. Now, you can still make it work for a few seconds at the beginning of the fight, and that's why you can still one-shot a boss at a very high level. But if you play for a couple of minutes, you will notice instantly that the icon appears and then it immediately disappears. On top of that, Proxima, at the very least Proxima, I don't know about Ebony and Corvus, but Proxima now has a frenzy buff whenever she does the spear attack, where those purple circles appear and chase you. After she does that spear attack, if it has 2 spears, instead of just having 1 set, if there are 2 sets of spears in her last phase from 7 bars down, she will get a frenzy buff for, I believe, 30 seconds. And during those 30 seconds, you cannot apply all defense down, and it doesn't work. So that can also greatly impact the difficulty of the mission, of the fight. So that is sort of that's a way that the Netmarble devs have sort of tweaked World Boss to make it harder, to make it less easy to cheese the bosses with overpowered strikers, and to require you to use your characters more than the strikers. So there's that. They also increased the rewards slightly in Alliance Battle Extreme. There's no way to check here. There's no way for me to show you. You have to go in and play. But yeah, they added some rewards. They added pretty good rewards up to 600,000 points. By the way, the new cap on ABX is 7 million every single day of the week, and the Frost Beast has a roar that reduces your damage by 40, 50, and 90%, or 50, 70, and 90%. It's very fun and exciting and interactive. It's not a total piece of crap game mode. No, of course not. Help. Anyway, next thing is Awakening. Awakening is like a new thing. It's tier 2.5. It's basically, it's not quite tier 3, but it's sort of tier 3. And it's basically right here. And so you need to use some tier 3 material. You can see you need CCF, you need Cosmic Cube Fragments, you don't need Titan Component Packs, you don't need Essence of Dimension, but you do need CCF. And then you also need these 2 new materials. Originally, it was just the one in the middle, but then they decided that it wasn't greedy enough. So they basically just created a new material that you needed. So they split the atom into 2 pieces. So you need Mandalay Gem Fragments and you need Awakening Crystals. You can only get those over in Squad Battle. So make sure you check out Squad Battle. Make sure you play Squad Battle daily and weekly. Daily for these chests here, and then weekly for the rewards over here. Shout out to Vader G. I'm about to take your spot, number 1. Possibly, maybe not. I don't know. But yeah, so tier 2.5 Awakening, it adds an extra skill. So you can see here, Amadeus Cho, when I awaken him, he will get Atlas Tactics, which is this ability. These abilities are generally very good, but they're different than tier 3 abilities. Rather than you having to charge up your tier 3 ability, this one is available right away. And then it has a 30-second cooldown. So it says 60 seconds there, but once you level it up all the way, it will have a 30-second cooldown. So let me go over to Blue Dragon, who I have maxed out. Her Celestial Judgment. It says 60 seconds. Huh. Oh, right. Never mind. It's 60. I'm dumb. It's 60 seconds, but then when you have 50% skill cooldown, it divides in 2. Ah, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I remember what skill cooldown is. I play Marvel Future Fight. Right. Yeah. So it's a 30-second cooldown when you have the skill maxed out. Well, if you have max skill cooldown, but the skill is always a 60% cooldown. 60 second cooldown. Wow, can we just edit this whole part of the video out? I just completely embarrassed myself forgetting that skill cooldown exists. Anywho, yeah, so Awakening is cool. It's sort of hit and miss, like the early tier 3s where you were like, man, Iron Man tier 3 doesn't look very good. Spider-Man tier 3 doesn't look very good. Ant-Man and Black Panther tier 3 don't look very good. Some Awakening characters are really good, like Mystique and maybe Amadeus Cho. and maybe in some ways Dr. Octopus. And then some Awakening characters are like Red Skull doesn't have a lot of value right now. Red Guardian doesn't have a lot of value right now as an Awakening character. So yeah, I wouldn't say rush to awaken any characters, but definitely start building up those resources so that you can awaken a character once there's a good one to awaken. Oh, there's also Beta Ray Bill, but you have to finish the epic quest. You have to finish the epic quest to awaken Beta Ray Bill. Yes, he's actually a very good awakened character, but he's only for world boss and sort of that kind of content. He's not for PvP, whereas you can use Mystique. Mystique's by and large the number one awakened character for every type of player. So yeah, those are basically the biggest new changes to Marvel Future Fight in the last like 8 months. We had some paid uniforms. We had one paid uniform which you can no longer purchase, and it's actually been unavailable for purchase for like 7 months now, since Christmas. So that was pretty weird. There's this one here, Holiday. This one actually cost real money. And then you have the Holiday Deadpool, which they changed it. Originally, it did cost money, and then they changed it to not cost money. They gave it to us kind of for free. Not for free, but like you didn't have to pay real money for it. And I think they just changed it. Yeah, they just offered it for crystals, but it's no longer on sale. It's no longer available. You can't get it at all. Not even like buying it off sale for more crystals. Like it's just completely 100% unavailable. So right now, these are the rarest uniforms in the game. When are they going to come back? Hopefully soon. I dare say at Christmas. But yeah, be on the lookout for this one in particular, because this is a this is basically the best PvE world boss uniform in the game. Huge upgrade for Deadpool. So yeah, those are all the catch-ups. Those are all the ketchups and mustards and the mayonnaises. Let me know if I missed anything besides the obvious mistake for skill cooldown. Hi, I've been playing Marvel Future Fight for 5 years, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.